Welcome to Cyber Studies. If this is your first time here, my name is Giovanni. Thank you so much for stopping by. Today is episode 7 of our PowerShell playlist, where we're getting into loops and conditional statements. So without further ado, let's get in there. All right, folks, so tonight we're gonna get to a bunch of stuff. We're gonna do conditional operators, if-else statements, loops, iterations, what have you. This is gonna be a longer video, but it's a really important one, so let's go ahead and dive in there. Now, in previous videos, we did things like the equals or, TAC GT for greater than. Those are known as conditional operators. So anything like 10 is greater than 2. True is a Boolean value, whereas this is a less than false, right? So any of these conditions are met, they'll produce a on, off, true, false results. Now, there are a bunch of them, and you kind of see with these like shorthands, it's arithmetic, math, whatever. So there's, the not equals to, the greater thans, all these different comparison operators. But there's a few of them that are just a smidge different, but they still follow those conditional operators. So let's just say, for example, hello, hello world. Now we can say right there that contains, and then we would say, does this contain hello? And if that is true, it is true. Where it says H, also true. So this is contained in that value. Now, something that's a little bit more, in my opinion, a little more useful, and it's kind of used for strings, would be the like. So you have something like this, and then say, hey, let's do like, and we have H wildcard. Now, pretty example here, but say you're looking for a user in Active Directory and you only have their last name, you could do a, last name is like this, or parts of the last name, and it spits out all of the output, and you can say, okay, here's the person I'm looking for, right? All right, so just out of the way, these are the conditional operators. Pretty easy, though they're important nonetheless, and they're going to play into the next parts here. So let me clear this out. All right, so the next part here, we're going to get into some of the if-else statements. Now, these are just conditional based. When something is met, it will move on to the next step or not. So we're going to do, let's see here. Let's do this, and then we're going to do let's set whatever our input is going to be to an integer for lazy inputs, and then we're going to say variable is going to be equal to, and then we're going to read from the host asking our user to give us an input. So we're going to say pick a number between 1 through 20. And then right here, we're going to say if that statement that condition is met, we are going to produce this code. So if num is greater than, let's just say 10, and then we're gonna scoot this down here. We're gonna say write to the host that what do we got here? This variable is greater than 10. And then just to make it a little bit easier on the eyes, we're going to do a for color and just make that green. So now we're going to launch our script, and then right off the rip here, we should say, pick a number between 1 and that. We say 5. We notice nothing happened. And that's just because if we're running through our logic here, if that number is greater than 10, we should have an output of number is greater than 10. And then in this instance, since there's nothing else to catch it, it just falls off the our statement here. So if we did it again, and we just said 11, 11 is greater than 10. Makes sense, right? Now, we notice it fell off because there was nothing for it to catch. So we can actually couple it with our else condition. And with this one, we don't actually have to have anything to be met. We just need to have the, if it wasn't, greater than 10, what happens then, at this. So then we do scoot this down here, and we're going to kind of the same thing, right? Host, and then, I'm going to be lazy here. Let's do this. copy that, and then go there, paste that, and we're gonna say is not greater than 10. And then because that's the case, we're gonna make this one red. And then let's go ahead and launch that. The same prompt as before. If we said 11, it should be greater, yes. But if we ran it again and we said 5 is not greater than 10. All right, see, this is kind of cool. This is very basic, but just to kind of get the idea of what's going on here, we're creating statements that are conditional to what the input is, or whatever number we put in there, whatever you pipe into this. So it doesn't have to be a true or false. It's more of a, if conditions are met, then things will happen. Now, in this instance here, we're not accounting for if things were equal to, if it flies outside of that 1 to 20 band. So just to save some time, I already prepped a little demo here for if else's, and I'm just throw this in here. Now, all this is doing is just right off the rep, it says, hey, if this is equal to 10, say it's equal to 10. If it's greater than 20, it's not within our 1 to 20 group. If it's, less than 10, then we're gonna, say, hey, it's, it's greater than 10. And then you see it right here. So we're gonna run through it, and then let's just do some oddballs. So we're gonna say 1 is not greater than 10, and let's remove this clear so we can just see what's going on here. Do it again. We're gonna say 10. 10 is actually equal to 10. Do it again. We're gonna say let's just do 11. 11 is greater than that. And then for kicks and gigs, let's say 21. And then this one says 21 is not a number between 1 and 20. Please try again. And you can do a bunch of fun, cool stuff with this. But again, this is a basic example to show the logic of if you have something piped in there, you can kind of, go through and change these. And again, it's simple here. When you start racking and stacking with other things, it can get very convoluted. It's just a really cool tool to know how to do things with. So now that we have the basics of this figured out, and again, this is very moving fast, high level stuff. Let's get into some of our loops. It's a little bit more fun, cool stuff here. All right, so now that I've cleared some space off here, let's get into some of these for loops. Now, for loops is going to allow us to repeat a section of code for a limited amount of time. So let's do a little bit of pseudo code here. So we say, hey, these conditions are met, these little squiggles there. So we would say, this would initialize the for loop, and then this is the condition, and then how we would repeat that loop until conditions are met. Then we're going to do our little squiggly brackets. This is our script block, and this is a for loop, like at its basics, so at its core. So we can say, let's set this to I, and we're going to start this with 1. And then the condition we would want to say here is if I is, let's just call this less than or equal to 10, and then we'll say that, and we're gonna increment it by 1. So we have that. We're going to write to the host, what to say, whatever this is. And then we're going to do the for color yellow. So this is the for loop itself. Right there should work. Just to kind of make it look a little bit clean, I'm going to add this. This is completely unnecessary, but just for visibility's sake, start loop. And then we'll do foreground green. And then I'm just gonna be lazy here. I'm gonna copy this, and then boop, do that. Let's change the bottom of it to be red. And then we'll just say this is the end loop. So if this works the way it's supposed to, what we should see is that it's gonna start at 1. And then as long as it's under 10, it's gonna add 1 to it until it hits 10, and then it's gonna stop. And then it should be green, yellow, red. So that works. Just like that. All right. Now, again, this is, very basic example, but what this is really cool is you can do this with different types of, you can do like get processes, services, what have you. You can basically have it spit something out until conditions are met, and then it stops that loop, okay? So you can kind of see the power of where this is and how this could be useful. Excuse me. So let me go ahead and clear this out. MP3, and then clear this out here, and then we can dive into some for each loops. I wasn't recording there for a second. So now with for each loops, it's kind of similar as a for loop, but the condition portion doesn't have to actually be met. So I'm going to start off here with that same old start loop, and then let's do that back there. For shadows green, and then same here. Doot. Okay. So now this one we can set a variable. We'll just call this one collection. And then this is going to be equal to 1 ... and then we'll just say 10. And then with this, we're going to do for each, and that, excuse me, I'm going to squiggles that here, and then we're going to dive into item, collection. And right, boost, value is, or do a colon space quote, and then we're going to join that with item, and then there's my squiggly down there. Okay. I think this is all they need there. And then I'm going to leave that one as is, and cool. So this is similar concept. There's no, if this is greater than that, do this. If not, don't. So there is no condition to be met. It just takes everything from there and it just spits it out. Now, again, we're just doing numbers. I think I have a prepped script here. All right, so I found that script there. All right, cool. So throw it in here, right here. Boop. Now what this should do is this is going to show the get service. We're going to select the last 5, and then as we're taking that, we're going to have the service name and then the actual status of said service. And so if that works like it's supposed to, awesome, cool. And again, it's just like how it's kind of fun and goofy because you kind of build on these things, and it's kind of practical if you look at it this way. So this is the last 5 things from the get services with not only the name, but also the service status on it. It's pretty cool. All right, so now let me clear this out again here, and then let's get into, let's do while loops. Now, while loops are kind of the same way as a for loop, for each loop, what have you, but this is a little bit more dangerous because it doesn't have to have a condition to stop. So as long as it's true, it's just going to keep rocking and rolling until it's told not to. So it doesn't have to have one of those conditions to say if equal to this, then done. So while this is moving and grooving, it'll just keep on doing its thing. So let me see what we got here. So I have to do my little boost, new, calendar. Green, do this, and then let's put this on fridge. Hey. And then with this, I'll tell you what, I'll save you my typing. I'm just going to copy this right in here. Let's do that. So what we have here, I'll kind of walk it through. So we have our variable var set to 1, and while in this loop, var is less than 10, it's just going to keep writing until it incrementally adds to it. And once it's done, it's done. So right here, we see it just keeps moving and grooving, and we can change this number here. As long as it's less than that, it's just going to keep moving and grooving. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, there are those conditional operators. So we do have, where is it at here? Where it says the value of var is this, right here. We can also do, and
var is not equal to, let's say 5, and we're gonna take this down here to 10 just for brevity. So what should happen here is that it's gonna go through and try to do its while statement. It says, hey, while we're less than equal to 10, as soon as it hits the 5, it should actually just break. It should just stop running. So let me clear the page here so we can see a bit better. And there, yeah, exactly. So once it's going through, it is going through its iterations, and then it hits that 5 and it says, oh, something happened. It's not equal to 5, and then it breaks. That's where it stops. Now, there's a handful more of these loops in PowerShell. There's the do whiles, there's a do untils, there's a few other ones, but the fors and the while loops are going to be getting you pretty dangerous into PowerShell. And by pairing those with the if, else ifs, you kind of get these more advanced scripts. And again, we're not programmers here. We're doing some low to medium level scripting. So we kind of get into what we're trying to do. It allows us to get a little deadly. So we covered a lot, and I'm hoping you guys took something from this tonight, and able to move and groove and do something cool with it. But again, pairing all these things together allows us to do something pretty neat.
All right, folks, next episode we're doing is PowerShell profiles and modules. So thank you very much for watching. Consider liking and subscribing, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.